Before Gary Lineker mounted his high horse and started lecturing the rest of the world rather than just talking about football, turns out he trousered a whopping 1.6 million quid. That's 400 grand a year over 4 years, working for Qatari broadcaster Al Jazeera. Now, his recent conversion from football pundit to Mother Teresa hasn't gone down too well with the Qataris, and their World Cup chief told talkSPORT earlier that Lineker, despite all of that, refused to even engage with them. Have a listen to this.
The sad part, for example, for me, Gary Lineker, as I was growing up, I looked up to him. For me, when I was in Sheffield, I used to look at, they think it's all over. And for me, it was a show that I used to love watching. I loved the banter. I loved the sense of humor. I loved everything about it. And so for me, it's very disappointing that Gary never bothered to engage. And I say it openly. He never bothered to engage. We reached out. We reached out many times. In February, we reached out over 3 or 4 times, specifically requesting to engage with Gary, to sit down and say, we understand your position, give us the opportunity to put our case in front, at least hear us out. If you don't agree then, that's fine, that's your decision, and that's your judgment. But we never got the chance.
It is my favourite subject. He is one big hypocrite, isn't he, Kev?
Yeah, I mean, I've met Lineker several times. He's a very amiable chap to, have a drink with. But I've always been slightly uncomfortable because of that, with how vehemently we criticise him. But today, no more lack of comfort on my part. This is outrageous. He took a deal, and for 4 years after Qatar got the World Cup, he got millions of pounds out of Qatari television. Today, Gary Lineker is exposed as a 24-carat, 100% hypocrite, and he is a disgrace, frankly.
Saggers, it's on the BBC. What's the hypocrite said so far? Anything?
Well, I don't think he said anything at all. He's speechless. Mind you, so am I at the moment. We haven't had a touch hardly yet, and it looks like a Gareth Southgate go slow from the back.
Which is what exactly Kev said, 0-0. Ava, you're loving tonight, aren't you? Gary Lineker, virtue-signalling hypocrite or a nice man?
Well, I think that you're ignoring that Al Jazeera does some excellent journalism. That it's not exactly the, direct Qatari mouthpiece. I think it's unfair to paint it in that light. And look, I think Piers Morgan himself actually made a really good point about all of this right at the beginning when the World Cup first kicked off, which is that, what nation is clean? What nation is, totally above board? I mean, how do you quantify? Where would we play next? Are we not going to play in the US because of their abortion laws? Are we not going to play in Africa because of their, their regard for, homophobia?
Yep.
That no one is above board. And there's nothing wrong with Al Jazeera, in my opinion.
Well, I wouldn't say there's nothing wrong with Al Jazeera, and I wouldn't say there's nothing wrong with Qatar. And I don't think anybody would care if Gary Lineker wasn't such a virtue signaller. But the point is that he makes a virtue of everything that he does. And the fact that he's now done this attack on Qatar, perhaps he should have mentioned in his monologue at the start of the Match of the Day Human Rights Special that basically he had taken 1.6 million quid. I think it's relevant. I think if we're going to talk about transparency and honesty in broadcasting, which is what Lineker goes on about all the time, then he should at least be transparent and honest, shouldn't he?
Okay, let's remember the depth of his duplicity here. This is a man, when it was put to him, Gary Neville's getting a 6-figure fee from beIN Sports, which is the Al Jazeera sports channel. What do you think of that? Gary Lineker said, well, I wouldn't take the money. It's his life, but I wouldn't take that money.
No, he wouldn't take that money because it wasn't enough.
Yeah.
He would have got a better agent to get him 1.6.
No, it's extraordinary.
Yeah.
I must say, Shajila, I do agree with Ava that, would we have all said Qatar should have had the World Cup? Probably no, but it's there, and every single country will have issues, right? Yeah. But you didn't hear Lineker in 2018 moaning about Russia. It is hypocritical.
OK, it's hypocritical, but you're also allowed to change your mind. And I like his crisps, right? I'm just saying he's done wonders for crisps. He might have not done anything for human rights.
They're not his crisps. They're made
well, I
by
don't care.
somebody
He's
else.
a spokesperson.
No,
and so I'm far as he saved the salt and vinegar
for
crisp.
another load of money.
Salt and vinegar is a disgusting flavour anyway.
Yeah.
You're so salt and vinegar.
Yes, Saggers.
The crowd will be as silent as Gary Lineker is at the moment about his deal with beIN Sports, because nothing's happening.
Is that your update? Nothing's happening.
I've got to tell you something. We're 8 minutes in now. We've hardly touched the ball.
8 minutes in and we haven't touched the ball. This is Jeremy Kyle live on Talk, talking about Gary Lineker, and I've got mad Saggers in the corner giving it large.
Is he watching the right game?
I don't think Are you watching Iran, USA or what?
No, I'm not. I'm watching England playing it around between the back three at the moment. No high press. Foden hasn't even had a touch just yet. Kyle Walker hasn't had a run. And Harry Kane, I'm not even sure where he is.
Don't get too excited. There's an hour to go. Ava, I do take the point, though.
Oh, here we go! Here we go! It's Rashford! Oh!
What's happened?
In on goal.
missed one.
Rashford from
I can see
Kane.
the telly.
Good save by the keeper, though.
Fantastic.
And Danny Ward, who's in, of course, for Hennessy. Still 0-0.
Brilliant. Thank you very much indeed. You're loving this, Ava, aren't you?
He's going to give me a heart attack.
Is he? Do you understand, though, the criticism of Lineker? Absolutely, your beliefs should be your beliefs, right? And if you feel something very strongly, you have a lot of strong feelings. You wouldn't take 1.6 million quid from an organisation that you'd spent 3 years criticising. I know that of you in the year that we've worked together.
Yeah, of course.
He's done that, kept it quiet, and it's come back and bit him on the back. And the problem with the BBC and this whole coverage is it comes across as quite hypocritical, doesn't it? It does.
I think we're being slightly disingenuous. I mean, I know that you said that it was a human rights brigade or whatever, but I think that was the best way that you could have used the platform afforded to you. He has a contract with BBC Sport.
Yeah.
He is obviously going to be in Qatar reporting on the World Cup that we are all watching, that we are watching right here in this studio,
Yeah.
obviously. I think the best way that he could have gone about that was to, expose some of the human rights atrocities that were used to build that stadium
surely,
and expose the
But then that
homophobia
was-
in there.
but then that was fine.
Here we go.
But that was...
Here we go. Foden and Walker. Here we go. Into the box. Oh,
Honestly, I
Kane's not
swear
fit.
to God, by the end
Rubbish
of tonight,
cross.
he'll have lost a stone.
Yeah.
England have got the ball and Saggers is over the top.
Nil.
Just
The point is, surely that was his opportunity, though, to admit that he took the money.
Yeah.
And then people would have gone, OK, well, at least
Yeah.
be honest.
Yeah.
But he didn't say it.
Exactly.
That was his chance. And is he going to go to America, where the next World Cup is? And is he going to do a special on the abortion law? Is he going to do a special for the death chamber in one of the states where they still have the death penalty? No, of course
I mean,
not.
I would really like to see that personally.
I'll do
I
it
would
if
love
you
to
like.
see
And
that.
And
But
what
he
has he
won't
said?
do it.
What has he said since this was exposed today? Nothing.
All he
Wall
said
of
is-
silence. He's hiding.
All he
'cause
said
he's
is-
shamed.
Yeah.
He's embarrassed.
Yeah.
He's in disgrace.
Can I just say, he's
it
not...
really is.
but
Yeah,
he's
no,
not
go on,
the
Cecilia
only-
Kershi. He's
It's
been
pathetic.
paid for this. Let's
Yeah,
speak.
he's not the only person who sold out. Do you know what I mean? It's like, it's not...
It doesn't exonerate him,
It doesn't
does
exonerate him, but it doesn't mean to say we have to,
Yes, it does.
demonise
Yeah,
him.
Yes, it
he-
does.
I think the problem
Man
is, with
the
the respect,
world's worst
I think the
hypocrite.
problem is if you purport to do the right thing and say the right
But
thing,
he is,
if you
in a
then
way-
get caught out,
Yeah,
He's doing the right thing.
Yes, fair enough.
How?
Yeah, you should have been honest about the money. But I agree with Ava that it is highlighting the issues now. And, in terms of a bigger picture, we haven't got a clean track record. Homosexuality was only legalised, 1967?
Quite a long time
Scotland
ago.
and
Yeah,
Wales.
quite a long
It's
time
only
ago.
legal to marry same-sex couples. Only in our recent history, the last
2006,
decade.
yeah.
which was the Tories. But also we've got our foreign secretary. He has said that he is going to Qatar and he will be in the stadium. If we're talking about principles, should our government be over there? Because is that not the
the gay
surest
sports
sign
minister's
of
there.
soft power for your
He's going to
government to
wear
go
his...
over there?
Yeah, but you
his,
seem
If our
a bit
politicians
confused.
are
You
going,
seem a
that
bit
says a
confused,
different
right?
picture.
You can't decide whether it's a good thing or a bad
No,
thing.
I think
But
he's
that the World Cup is
One at a time.
He's a
web of
football pundit,
hypocrisy.
so he's actually doing what his job is.
Well,
but
why
at
did
the
he
same
start
time,
the
No, he's not.
coverage with a great monologue about the human rights atrocities in Qatar? It went on for
That's
about
not his
20
job.
minutes. That's how he started his coverage.
But you
of
can't
this
win.
World
You're saying
Cup.
that you
Come
can't
on.
do that.
Come
You
on.
can't
hang on.
actually.
Hold
Well,
on,
you
Gary
can't have it
Lineker on
both ways.
Twitter. Hold on. He's just responded. On Twitter says the Daily Hell scoop that's seemingly unbeknown to anyone. I covered the Champions League for Al Jazeera a decade ago is amusing. I'm so poor at keeping secrets. That's his response.
So that's an
Well, that's
admission
also
of
quite
guilt,
unfair.
isn't it?
One at a time, would you say?
It's an admission of guilt, isn't it?
It's difficult,
Not
though,
deni-
isn't it?
He's not
I think
denying it.
After
it's
they got the
nuanced,
World
isn't it?
Cup, that's the point.
Yeah, go on, mate.
No, it's nuanced, isn't it? But I think it's disingenuous for us to represent him as if he's over there right now getting a payout from the Qatari government.
No,
to-
I think what happens is, and I know Piers is a mate of his, and Piers I thought made some really good points last night about how it is out there to how it is here. I absolutely give you that. The problem with Lineker is he's the first out the blocks when anything happens. He's always the
On
person
Twitter,
who
that's it.
says the stuff that maybe other people won't say or would seemingly be the correct thing to say.